Yo, what's up Granbluers? Hope you're doing well. There was a new live stream today from Games for everything Granblue related, as the mobile game is hitting its 10th anniversary, so shout out to that game. But I'm not an avid player of that game, so I won't be discussing that. Rather, we'll be covering what was shown in this live stream for Granblue Fantasy Relink in particular, considering that's the game I've been making a few videos on. I'll have the live stream linked below with a timestamp of where the Relink section starts if anybody would prefer to watch it there. I'll be covering what was shown off in the live stream, but also what they've posted on their website, as I do think it's a relevant talking point. If you just want the short version, we'll be getting the Lucilius raid itself on March 14th, along with some DLC packs of materials, an emote pack, and seemingly other adjustments. Playable characters Soifon and Toyen will be added in April along with other content, and Sandalphon will be added as a playable character in May. If I mispronounce their names, I'm sorry. The Relink website will be linked down below for those that'd like to check it out. If you like Granblue content and would like to see some more, I'd appreciate a subscribe. With that being said, let's get into the video. I'll be breaking down the March update specifically, and I'd like to analyze the mechanics for the Lucilius raid in the mobile game and compare to the footage we have.
Oh my god!
I was considering breaking down Soifon and Toyen, but they're still a month out and I don't want to bloat this video. Considering many of the kits themselves are based on their mobile game counterparts, I do think it's a solid way to make an educated guess on what will be coming up. So if that's something you're interested in, please see the timestamps below. If you just want to go into these updates blind, don't watch this video. I don't know how the story quest will play out itself, but I will be discussing what they've shown us so far. On March 14th, we'll be getting the Lucilius raid as an update, along with some paid DLC such as the new emotes, rock paper scissors, shadowboxing, and one that cheers your teammates on called Inspire. It's called an emote expansion set on the website, and they're listed under the same point, so I assume this means they'll come together for the $1.99 listed on their website. The price point could have been worse. The other DLCs are essentially pay for convenience if you want to alleviate some of the grind in this game. I'm not really an advocate for stuff like this. If you're gonna make a game with a grind, why are there money options to bypass said grind? Each pack comes with materials that can be used to enhance characters, weapons, or sigils, but I think the real highlight are the sigils that come in said packs. We have the self-improvement pack, weapon uncap items pack, weapon upgrade items pack, sigil upgrade items pack, all selling for $2.99 and can only be purchased once. The packs come with different things that will be shown on the screen, the main highlights being the sigils honestly, and even then the only one probably worth getting is the one that comes with War Elemental if you're unlucky like me. It's not something I'd personally get, but hey, if you really don't want to grind for War Elemental, there it is. If you're looking at the other packs for the sigils, I can't recommend them because the sigils being given aren't that strong and relatively easy to get in-game. You can also just farm Slime Pete for a lot of that stuff, so I don't think it's worth it, but what you do with your money is your business. With all that being said, we can get into the meat and potatoes of the March update, which is the Lucilius quest, The Final Vision. The quest says that it will be dropping with not just new content, but also adjustments. Hopefully this means some character changes, maybe buffs. I don't think they should be nerfing playstyles or removing the animation cancelling tech currently in the game, only because of what I discussed in my last video. Of course, if there's a playstyle that seems completely out of line, then I don't think it's a bad idea to reel it in with the rest of the cast. The only one I can think of, based on what I've read in community posts and stuff, is the Rackham aerial spam, but I haven't looked into this myself, so I don't really have any comments on that. The adjustments have not been posted on the website or Twitter, so I can't tell you what's being changed. The quest itself seemingly begins in Seed Hollow according to the footage they showed us and what's on the website. It seems as if we'll be meeting Sandalphon for this quest, and he will join us as a guest character for the fight like he does in the mobile game story. This next section will be analyzing what was shown in the footage, and I want to compare this to what's available in the mobile game's version of the raid to get an idea of the mechanics we can expect in the Lucilius fight. Okay, so seemingly they are combining two of the Lucilius raids from the mobile game into one fight. I'm pulling this information from the Granblue Fantasy Wikipedia, so if I got anything wrong or misinterpreted something, I'm sorry. The links will be below if you'd like to read about it yourself. If you're looking for the lore to this fight or who Lucilius is, maybe I could do some research and make a separate video on that, but that could take a while and I don't want to make this video longer than it needs to be. In the mobile game, there is a regular raid and a hard mode version of the raid, which is what his second form is based off of. At first look, it's already slightly different. The original fight, which is titled Dark Rapture, has Lucilius at level 150, but in Relink we'll be fighting him at level 200. The hard mode version of Dark Rapture raid places him at level 250. For all we know, there could be a level increase in the second phase, which would be interesting. I don't think they'd do this, but it'd certainly make the fight scarier than it is already. We'll take a look at a second form mostly because we didn't get much footage of the second phase, but I do still want to talk about that. So in the original footage of this fight from January, we got a sneak peek of the introduction where Lucilius starts by raining down projectiles for the team to dodge. This is his special move known as Paradise Lost. In the fight, we see the damage number shifting, but it seems that one shot of this will do about 40,600 damage. So you'll want to put yourself at 41,000 HP at the very least to survive one of these projectiles. Defensive sigils and supportive sigils seem like they might come in handy in this fight though, from what I found out. Alright class, I hope you're ready to take notes because we're about to study some mechanics. Before we begin this section, I'd just like to say that I will be pulling stuff from the mobile game's Wikipedia page. There's no way for me to confirm or deny if the same mechanics will be present in the fight because I don't work at Cygames or have insider info, but I figured this section talking about the mechanics in the original fight would be fun. It also does give us somewhat of an idea of what to expect from the fight on the 14th. If you don't like speculation stuff or theory, then please click off. I don't want to read comments going like, "This isn't gonna be in the fight, dude." Shut up. This is for fun. With that being said, let's break down the fight. I will have a section discussing just stuff from the trailer, but that will be at the end timestamp. After this move, I'd assume he drops down and the fight will proceed like normal. In the mobile game, Lucilius has 3 special attacks: Phosphorus, Iblis, and Axiom. I could be wrong, but from what I know, these special moves are tied to one of the 3 blades. In the footage from the current livestream, we do see that upon doing an attack, he will use one of the blades and they seem to disappear for a short while after using one. Now I don't know if this means this will be considered downtime periods or they'll regenerate very quickly. If we cross-reference this to how he plays in the fighting game, upon using any of the blades he needs to wait for it to recharge before he can perform certain moves again, which, if they're being consistent, would mean that you don't have to worry about certain moves back to back. In Granblue Fantasy Relink, the HP bar shows a percentage next to it. Only some bosses have HP related mechanics, but usually bosses will do some sort of mechanic when they get into overdrive and then trigger a bloodthirsty state. In the mobile game, and if you've played any MMO really, you'll know that there are usually different phases of fights tied to when the health bar drops to certain points. Lucilius is no different. He has 3 different HP thresholds where he will trigger his special moves: 75%, 50%, and 25%. At 75% and 25% HP, Lucilius triggers the move Phosphorus, which is a massive damage to one of your allies. If there are any mobile game players, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it seems that some special moves will only trigger in certain phases, potentially allowing us to skip some mechanics. The second special listed is Iblis, which activates at 50% HP in his normal state. It's an 18-hit attack of random elemental damage to the ally with the highest HP, with the last hit dealing a ton of damage. If the targeted ally dies, it'll move onto the second ally with the highest HP, potentially allowing for tanks to have an actual role in this game for this fight. This move will also inflict skill seal and will apply Petrify on the allies it hits. According to the Wikipedia page, this will also go to make it so Lucilius's base charge diamonds will go from 2 to 1. Charge diamonds are what allow bosses to use special moves when they're full in the mobile game. Considering we don't have diamonds or a super meter for bosses here, I'm unsure of how this will translate. Maybe he will just be able to chain different specials much quicker. When Lucilius enters overdrive, he will trigger the special move known as Axiom. This will be a 3-hit move to random allies and will have different effects depending on the Evangelist Blade level he's at. The Evangelist Blade level seems to be just a passive, potentially shown to us through a buff under his HP bar where he builds stacks as the fight progresses. The way he builds these stacks will be by casting special moves throughout the fight. There are 3 levels to this passive. Level 1 will remove all buffs on all allies. If this translates 1-to-1 to Relink, this could potentially even remove buffs from your sigils such as Stoutheart, Crab Vestments, or others. Level 2 makes it so Axiom will deal 10,000 damage to all allies. Level 3 makes it seem like big trouble if this hits the party. Level 3 of Evangelist Blade will lower the entire party's max HP. Just to clarify, when he goes up a level, the other effects will still take place in tandem, not just one of these depending on its level. So if he gets to level 3, you will take a random 10k stray, your HP will be lowered, and all your buffs removed. Now before you start pacing back and forth and panicking, there is a way to deal with this. In the mobile game, you would need abilities that remove debuffs to lower his Evangelist Blade level. Now, at the time of recording, I don't think any characters have stuff like this. I'll make sure to read all the abilities before posting, and if there is, you'll see it on screen here. My guess is that there will be orbs to shatter to throw at him or something along those lines in the fight. similar to the Radis Whiteworm fight. In the footage, we see Lucilius activate a special move where he hangs in the sky and we must destroy these orbs that flash blue to stop his charge, or maybe weaken it. But I don't believe this is Axiom. In the fighting game, Axiom is a 3-hit laser move that is purple. So if I had to guess, this would be the laser beam flying across the screen here, but maybe this is only the level 1 version. Earlier, I stated maybe certain specials will be able to be skipped in some phases. What I meant by this was not just the HP threshold, but also whether or not he's in overdrive or normal state. In the mobile game, according to the wiki, certain moves will trigger in a boss's normal state or their overdrive state. Iblis only triggers at 50% HP at normal state. Potentially, Lucilius can force himself into overdrive at some point to activate Axiom, but we don't know. Now, there is his infamous special move that triggers at the start of the fight, known as Paradise Lost. This move can trigger again anytime after he falls below 50% HP if Lucilius and his Black Wings have their super meter filled. Now there is no super meter in Relink, so if I had to guess, this will either be triggered in Bloodthirsty only, or potentially this is the move he is charging when the feather orbs are on the ground and he's flying above. There's no real tell for all this. All I can say is the animation that plays when he uses Paradise Lost at the start is different, so I don't have any solid information on this. If you're a mobile game player that maybe knows what that move is, I'd be interested to hear about it. Other things to know would be that it seems he's debuff immune. You can't reduce his attacks, defense, we can't freeze him, there's no way to lower his debuff resistance or be paralyzed. Now, we don't know how this will translate to Relink, but if this is the same, then it's safe to say CC moves won't really work on him, which means potentially bringing buffs instead of debuffs is the better play, especially after I talk about what his wings do. That's right, Lucilius's wings are a whole separate entity in this fight, considering what we have to go off of. The wings don't attack normally, but rather seem like they will be doing set attacks at certain points of the health bar. They share a mode bar with Lucilius, so when he enters overdrive, so do the wings. They also have the same immunities Lucilius does, so see that section for what I'm talking about. Not sure if they share an HP bar as well, but I assume this is separate to Lucilius. We won't know till the fight is here. At 75%, the wings will trigger Fiscus, whether he's in a normal state or overdrive, which does dark damage and also puts an attack down debuff on our party. This is stackable, by the way. At 50% HP, Lucilius will trigger Sephiroth. Don't ask me why this is the name of the move, but fun fact, Lucilius is voice acted by the same guy that voices Cloud in FF7. Sephiroth removes all buffs on all allies and will inflict a 200% charge cut. In the mobile game, characters have a charge or Ogi meter they fill to do a big attack. It serves the same purpose as our SBA gauge, so I'd assume this will work for the SBA gauge and just take us to 0. If it's really a 200% down, then we'd be SBA bankrupt and have to build it up from -100. Surely this won't be the case. The Black Wings will get a defense up buff, debuff resistance up, and uplifted, which in the mobile game would fill up the charge diamonds of a boss faster so they can do supers more often. Since we don't have a super meter for bosses or diamond equivalent, maybe his supers are timer based, it's hard to say. Sephiroth seemingly only triggers in normal state, so it seems like you'd actually want Lucilius to be in overdrive if you're going to damage the wings. Again, I'm unsure if this means the special move can take place after overdrive ends, or if you damage it in the right mode, you can avoid a mechanic. Finally, at 25% HP, whether the wings are in overdrive or not, they will cast Malice. Malice does a dark damage AoE that will inflict defense down on the whole party. As for what was in the trailer itself 100%, we see him using a 3-hit combo using all swords. One is 3 slashes in opposite directions, another 3-hit combo is where he will send the yellow blade out to do a big AoE move, followed by the other 2 blades shooting lasers. When he performs moves using the swords, they disappear for a bit, which would signify he will alternate between these and the dark element attacks, such as shooting a laser from his hands and orbs falling from the sky. It seems that Lucilius will have a phase where he does charge in the sky. A blue trail will be sent out to 4 feather orbs that I'm assuming everyone on the team will need to destroy one to stop him from casting. There is a part where the floor becomes enveloped in a purple outline where we see Gran and Catalina attack one of his swords. I assume these swords will be blasting different attacks in this phase because across the room we can see one of the red blades shoot a beam out towards Gran and Catalina. Perhaps hitting all of the swords will prevent this phase. A very slight detail many people might not have noticed is that if you examine the blade, it's glowing blue, which would mean somehow, some way, you'll be able to interact with his swords in the fight. This could be like the Galanza fight where we'll be able to throw the sword at Lucilius to counter him, I'm not sure. That seems cool though. When Sandalphon joins the fight to help us, it looks like he'll attack with our characters during things like link attacks. His own SBA to do during our SBA chain as well, who knows. Then the last thing we see is Lucilius go into overdrive as signified by the red effects, which triggers his second phase. Those are all of his mechanics in the normal version of the raid. Are you ready for the second phase, class? Jokes aside, I really don't know if they're going to bombard us with even all of these mechanics. It seemed a bit overwhelming at first, but honestly, I think if the normal version of the fight has all of these, it will be challenging, but fun and not too overbearing. I took a look at the hard version of Dark Rapture. It's like a night and day difference to how many mechanics the boy Lucy has. So I think I'll leave this video as it is, especially considering we really don't know if this will all transfer one-to-one. I'm confident most of this will make it into the game due to characters like Percival being a one-to-one with their mobile skills, but maybe I'm wrong and most of this isn't in the game. Regardless, I thought this was fun and I hope you enjoyed. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe. Maybe I'll upload my first few attempts of the fight, I'm not sure yet. Take care and good luck on the 14th, everyone.